Good morning, everybody. Welcome to First Friday Lunch. I apologize for being late. If you have any questions throughout the stream, go ahead and put them in the comments below, and they should just pop up for me. So if you are on YouTube, I don't believe if you are watching this on Facebook, actually, I don't think you can watch it on Facebook. I think you have to watch it on YouTube simply because that's the only place that it's available. If I paid for StreamYard, I use the free version. That's why there's a thing up in the corner here. There, little corner StreamYard thing. That's why that's there, is because I don't pay for StreamYard. So I might if I got more viewers or whatever, but my viewership is small. The amount of time that I put out content is pretty small. So yes. Once again, though, welcome to First Friday Lunch. Today, we're going to talk about my NaNo project and how I did, and then also how what I'm going to do over the holidays. What my writing plan is for that. So we'll get right to it. So my NaNo project, Curse in the Caravan, got 0 words. I was hoping to write on it, but I really, really, really wanted to finish Wind Resistant first because I wanted that to be. It's a short story novella somewhere in there that I wanted to get to book boutiques and then have sort of some income coming in from it. So I wanted to complete that project before I started a full-length novel, which tends to be the case with all of these steampunk novels. So the third book would probably be looking at, somewhere in the 45,000, so like longer novella to 50,000 shorter novel. So I've never really been able to find out what the exact length of a novel is. And it ranges. I mean, I've seen anything as short as 45, which I think is extremely short for a novel, to, 120. So it's kind of like, well, I don't know. I feel like and it might totally depend on your genre, because I feel like when you deal with category romances, even though those are considered a novel, they're relatively short. I mean, they fall under 70,000 for like 75, 80 might be the cap on them, but they tend to be shorter within that like 55 to 65 range is kind of where they tend to fall. And when I talk about category romances, it might be a trade paperback that an indie author's putting out, or also like those Harlequins, those really tiny ones that come out monthly. Those tend to be shorter. And I would imagine that's really for readability of the reader, in the sense that I don't know if publishers know that readers read a lot, but it might be just so it's a quick read for the reader. And that's kind of the marketing strategy until the next book comes out the next month. So anyway, but yeah, so I got 0 words on Curse in the Caravan. I tried my best, but like I said, I did most of my work on Wind Resistant. And what I was going to show you was kind of how little work I even did on that, because it is not very much. Let me go ahead and share my screen. Let's see, share. There we go. Share screen. Now I guess they have a share option in there for like slides or something if you were doing a presentation, which is kind of interesting to me. So, I don't know if it'll let me do that. Chrome tab. There we go. This one and share. Okay. So this is like where I normally keep track. As you can tell, this was last year's NaNo project. Like I started it in 11/2/20, and not really. I mean, this sounds like a lot, but I also have written a short story in between this and something else, and I've also had other things I was working on. But if you look over here, I sort of track my words by like how much work I've done. And like I did the outline or whatever on 11/2. So this was totally original and actually would have qualified as a NaNo project. So, but if I look and I scroll down here, you can see like down in the bottom, it's kind of tolling up how much time I spent on this book. Like you can just see that it's not very much. And how I tried to touch it fairly consistently, but like literally once summer rolls around, I don't get anything done just because I'm working. So far I've written 9 hours and 35 minutes on this book. Oh, wait, I'm missing one. 9 hour, almost 10 hours on this book. So not very long. And I'm up to 16,368. But like starting this year, like here's the 11, here's NaNo, literally, and nothing, like hardly anything written. Just like maybe like once a week I touched it. Like I didn't get any writing done the week of Thanksgiving. We were doing a lot of stuff. So like I wrote 2,751 words on wind resistant, and I'm still not done. I still have like the final fight scene left. I have to write the love scene because I haven't done that. I kind of like glossed over it, like insert love scene here. Usually because if I don't feel like writing one, I just don't. I move on so I can kind of get words on the page. So I have to go back and do that. And I have to go back and do some other stuff. So, and like on these notes over here, what I've written down is kind of like what I did in the period of time. So you can kind of see, oh, there's one fight scene I finished. Oh yeah, I have a bar fight scene in there. So yeah, I have like the epic scene with the villain, and then I also had like this little scene with not a villain, but it worked in pretty well. I thought that was a nice little added to it. So yeah, so that's kind of how this is how I manage my time on any project, whether it's NaNo or not. And I'm thinking about in January actually talking about this whole writing process and the tools I use and how that works, like what I do when I sit down to write. Like I will show you the template that I use, and I will show you this. This is also a template to use words. A lot of people will count their words up, and I find that it's easiest just to have like a way to know how much I've written. Boy, that was a lot of words. Sometimes every now and then I get something like there's like, well, yeah, see, I write about 100 words every 10 minutes. But when I'm editing, if I'm lucky, I write a word a minute and don't take away words. So, but I think it's a little bit of both. I'm taking away words, but I might add one in as well. So editing tends to take a little bit longer for me. So, and this book also hasn't been through a critique, so I will probably have to do that as well. So that's kind of what I ended up doing for NaNo, which was not a lot. And then for the month of December, what I'm planning on doing is just literally taking time and enjoying the holidays. This is going to be a rough year for me. My mom's 1-year anniversary of passing away was November 30th. And my dad is gone as well. He passed away in March of this year. So it's going to be a tough year. I mean, it's going to be hard. My mom loved the holidays. I actually, when I packed up her house, I went ahead and I got a bunch of the Christmas stuff that she'd had. I have some Christmas craft supplies that I've been working on. You can't see it behind me, but I actually was doing some scrapbooking because my mom had it wasn't something that she loved. Like my Aunt Vicky is like a huge scrapbooker, and I love scrapbooking, and I kind of came to it through my Aunt Vicky, and I think my mom came to it through my Aunt Vicky as well. But my mom did it a little differently. Like she already had like stockpiled Christmas cards, and so if she thought she could reuse the card, like a batch she'd bought from the year before, she would do, I did something she would have done. I did like last night, I took a glue stick and put glitter on these like pre-store bought cards or whatever to kind of add something to it. And that's something my mom would have done, or my mom would add stickers or ribbon or something like that to a store-bought stock card, which was kind of her way of scrapbooking. Or she'd cut up very old cards, like cards she'd saved that she thought were pretty, and then like redid them onto cardstock, which was fascinating to me. But yeah, so I'll probably be doing that. I also have some like stuff that I believe that she'd set aside for Christmas crafts. She used to do when I was a kid. We would always get together, and even up until I was an adult, we would get together and do crafts. One weekend, or baking one weekend. I've always sort of stuck to the baking like the weekend before the holiday, because I'll make cookies for my uncles And that's been like my standard gift throughout the year. When my kids were little, we would go ahead and do like the sugar cookie cutouts, and they do this. Oh my God, the sugar, the amount of sugar that must have been on those sugar cookies plus sprinkles. You know what I'm talking about. If you have little kids, you totally know what I'm talking about. Like it's like a layer of sprinkles like that thick. So it's like there's more sugar than cookie, and then there's sugar in the cookie. So yeah, so I'll do a baking like the Saturday before. I'm in a craft group, a craft circle that meets every Saturday. And so I'll be working on cards and Christmas crafts and those sorts of things on Saturday. And I'm really going to table writing. But I think my goal is to finish up wind resistance because I am so close. But honestly, 1,000 words a week, like literally 200 words a day, give or take, to kind of keep me moving. And I think if I stay on that schedule, I might finish it early. It may not be, I don't think I need 1,000 words to finish it even. Well, maybe I do. I think I need like 2,000 words, but I want to take it easy. I don't want to stress myself. I think I was hoping to really get through NaNo and get projects done in November because there is so much momentum in the universe around that time because so many people are being creative and writing. But then also like right in the middle of the 4th week, you've got Thanksgiving, which is a huge hiccup. And if you don't plan for it, it's going to be a problem. So I knew I was not going to do it this year, but then I thought I'd do more than I actually did. I ended up not doing as much because I sold my parents' house in November. It was the 1-year anniversary of my mother's death. And so there's just been a lot of emotion just generally. And I think there will be as well in December. So I think it's going to be more about enjoying the things I have. You know, I have a grandson. I have another grandson on the way in like January, maybe Christmas, maybe he'll be a New Year's baby. I don't know. We'll see. But I think that there's just things that I can enjoy now so that I don't look too much into the past and have regret. So I think that that's sort of the way that I've always managed the holidays. I've never done anything different from that. So I don't have anybody in the broadcast, so this might actually only be like a 15-minute broadcast, which is totally fine. The shorter ones work out just as well. I would say if you go ahead and watch the pre-recording of this, please hit the like button below. If you're not subscribed to my channel, go ahead and subscribe. I only do videos once, the first Friday of every month, first Friday lunch, and then also, like I said, with January, I think what we're going to do is I'm going to start talking about this writing process because I think what I want to do is I kind of want to give my viewers a chance to see inside how I work in writing, like beginning to end, like everything I do from the writing, how I do the editing, how I do, and like we'll go ahead and look at some stuff that I've had critiqued by my critique partners. We'll look at some stuff that I've worked on through editors, and then also we'll talk about stuff. We'll talk about cover art that I do in Canva, and we'll do like a session on that. So it'll just be all these like little things of getting the book from A to B. So, you know, how do you get it from beginning to end? And I think that'll be something that I'll work on in the new year. I'll probably do my death and taxes video as well. But I think maybe I haven't decided if I'm going to lead off with, I might partner with one of the writing groups I'm in and maybe do something on the business of writing or the business of art or something like that, because I think people need to know how to manage their finances. And just like this whole thing with my parents' death, and they were relatively young. They were in their, my dad was 72 and my mom was like 68 or 69. She wasn't even 70 yet. And there is, let me think, actually, my mom was 69. Yeah, she would have been 70 this year in 2022 because she's born in 1952. So yeah, she was, oh no, not even. She was 68. Yeah, she was 68. And then my dad was 72. And so it's just one of these things where it's like they didn't plan as well as they could have. And when my dad was placed in hospice care, I had to do a lot of the planning sort of last minute. I mean, they had stuff lined out enough, but I think they were so young that they really didn't plan for, in some ways they were young. They didn't plan probably when they should have. So like right now, my husband and I have gone through a lot of planning so that when we do pass, we have what we call the Book of Death, which is basically for our children to say, this is the will, here's the, all the things that you need. Like we do have a lot of stuff set up where everything's like payable on death or transferable on death. And so I think that when looking at that, it's also forced us to look at our businesses. My husband has a crop dusting business and I have this writing business. And so it's forced us to look and say, okay, when we're gone, what happens there? What, where do my royalty checks go after, I've passed, who gets that money? And we've kind of got to talk through those things with both our girls and see, is there an interest in somebody writing under my pseudonym, Tina Holland? Is there an interest in, how those royalty checks get divided? Do they go into a trust? Do they go into, those sorts of things? So it's things to think about, but also as part of that, as an author, you should have a business thing every year. You should be monitoring your money in and out, how that works. You should be monitoring where your assets are related to your business. How many books do you have? How many books are out in the world that you're getting royalties on? If you're independently published, how is that going to work when you pass? I mean, I don't know. It sounds grisly and gruesome in some ways to talk about this stuff, but probably because it's so fresh and I'm more of if I sit too long, I'm going to have an emotional response to it. And I'd rather not do that. So I kind of keep going. And that's part of my coping mechanism. I'm sort of a wreck when I journal because all my emotions come out and they end up on the page. But I think that's the kind of stuff I want to focus on in the new year and share to you, my viewers, how do you run this business? How do you run and work in this business? How does Tina Holland do stuff that might help you, that might advance where you're going? And everything I do is not going to be relative to you and what you do, because some of you write in totally different genres than I do. Some of you write nonfiction, and I only have one nonfiction book. But I'd like to start a conversation about how I can help you grow your business, however, boutiques, niche, small you want to be versus how huge. I'm not New York Times bestseller. I'm not USA Today, but I do have a lot of business background. I worked for a Fortune 500 company for years before they let me go. And I've helped my husband run his business successfully. And I've run mine as more of a extra income thing. So it's not our main, my husband's business makes us all our money. And so my business is kind of like extra. So every little bit that comes in, but I do know authors out there, and I'd be happy to have them on for First Friday Lunch, that literally make a living writing. That's not me. I make kind of a nice side income, like, oh, we can go out to dinner. Oh, we can buy groceries with this one. Oh, look, we have enough money to go on a vacation. So that's kind of the range of what my royalty checks have looked like over the years. So some have been bigger, some have been smaller, some have been like, I can barely buy a cup of coffee. So, it's sort of like, but we can talk about all that. Like, what did I do that made those checks bigger, if anything? And what could I have done to make checks bigger? So, we'll talk a little bit about marketing going further into the year, but I think I'd like to focus on helping you out as my viewers to, what do you need? What do you want to be able to learn or talk about? And even though this live session is over, I'd love to hear your comments below about how you what things you'd like me to talk about in the coming year. So like I said, I think we'll always talk about the tax portion of it. We'll talk about business. We'll talk about my writing process. And my writing process, because I'm sort of a plotzer, I will have some stuff that will appeal to people who are hardcore plotters, people who like Excel. And I'll also talk about like templates and working in Word or other versions. So I think that I would really like to be able to go ahead and offer that to you as my viewers, so that you have something to fall back on, I guess, if you will. So I think we're almost at like 20 minutes. And like I said, I don't see that anybody has jumped in. So I think I will wrap it up with a bow, because it's Christmas. And just let you know that my next lunch is going to be January 7th at 11:30, and that's Central Standard Time. I will post links to it on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, Pinterest. I kind of hit all of them. So if you follow me on any of those, you'll see it. Or you can go ahead and when it gets posted, you can go ahead and be notified via YouTube, and it'll pop up. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you next month, January 7th at 11:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. So pencil me in for lunch.